Good morning, everybody. Going to give a brief update on Hurricane Helene. I'm currently here in Houston. I flew with the NOAA Hurricane Hunters last night, collecting data to feed into the models and to send to the Hurricane Center. We flew to Houston, because there's a lot of wind over the state of Florida today, so couldn't really safely land in Lakeland. So we'll be flying into the storm again tonight. There's one of our other planes is out there right now, and the Air Force Hurricane Hunters are also out there. So plenty of round-the-clock data coming as the storm approaches Florida later today and tonight. We can see it here over the central Gulf of Mexico, moving to the northeast, northeast, pretty much on track. You can see the eye here, so it's gotten better organized since yesterday. Maybe hasn't rapidly strengthened quite as much as some forecasts showed, but still is Category 2 and forecast to become a major hurricane later today over the Gulf before it makes landfall. Wanted to show the latest reconnaissance data from the plane. You can see it's just updated that, so you can see it's again. If you look at the fixes, moving northeast, maybe turning a little bit to the right over time. So we'll talk about the implications of that in a minute. But it's one of the other things I wanted to talk about is that notice how it's kind of asymmetric. You have all this really strong hurricane force flight level winds east of the center, a little bit weaker on the west side, at least outside the eye wall. And that's going to be important as it approaches the coast for what area sees the most impact. And the other thing is to notice is that it's very large. So, this is basically 2 degrees of latitude or of longitude here on the east side where you're seeing hurricane force winds, at least at flight level. So basically near and to the east of where this makes landfall, you're going to have a lot of very strong winds and storm surge issues and all sorts of flooding issues. And certainly some on the west side as well, but definitely a large area is going to get impacted from this. I just want to show quickly a couple different scenarios from a couple of the hurricane models. This is HMON, one of the hurricane models we use. This is showing basically kind of along with the near kind of the current energy forecast, basically up makes landfall near Alligator Point or St. Mark's, and the eye actually goes right over Tallahassee tonight, which would be a very bad scenario for the city in terms of the wind and worst impacts. Some of the other hurricane models, like the HAFS-B model that I work on, is a little bit further east. It's showing more of a landfall kind of in the Steinhatchee area, and then kind of up into South Georgia after that. And this would still cause a lot of you see the Tallahassee would still kind of get this north or the western eye wall, so you still get some strong northerly flow, but it would sort of hopefully avoid the worst into Tallahassee. The downside with this is you would have stronger winds into Cedar Key and sort of the northern parts of the Tampa Bay area. So it's unlikely that everyone's going to come away unscathed from this, but there are some slightly better and worse options for different areas that you should keep an eye on depending on where you're at. Just wanted to show again, this is a map of the area. So currently the forecast track from the Hurricane Center, like I said, brings it up kind of toward the, the Big Bend area there. But the landfall point is going to be, it's just hard to pin that down until we get closer to time, because little wobbles can make a difference. If it comes in a little bit closer to Alligator Point or St. George Island, obviously that's going to cause a lot of damage in these coastal communities here, Panacea, Bald Point, Alligator Point, and bring a lot of surge up into St. Mark's. And, like we showed on the east side, would still get a lot of surge with that as well because of the large size. And this sort of track would bring the center over Tallahassee and would kind of sort of be a worst case scenario for the town. Some of the other options would be, like I said, if it comes in a little further right, if it comes up here into the St. Mark's or some of the wildlife refuge area there east of St. Mark's, there isn't a whole lot right on the coast here. You still obviously have a lot of wind and surge in Steinhatchee, Cedar Key, and these coastal communities, but the worst of the surge would hopefully be confined to this area a little bit here. And the other slight positive, for at least for Tallahassee in this scenario, is then you would, like I said, be on the west side, which is a little bit weaker right now, and not have as much wind. But then this would also bring more wind up into the Live Oak and Lake City area. So just, another scenario, if it deviates even a little bit more to the right, which is possible, kind of comes in here near Steinhatchee, then you'd have probably your worst surge and wind in Cedar Key. You'd have more wind impacts in Lake City, and your Jacksonville, McClinney points to the east. So we're still a little bit unclear which scenario exactly is going to play out, But this whole area is going to see impacts today, and you should be ready. And if you're told to evacuate, evacuate. If you're in a surge zone, or if you're in a mobile home, if you're nervous at all or anything uneasy, just err on the side of caution. Get to a safe place, inland, in a sturdy building, as away from doors and windows, and just be safe. Ride it out. You can always, you can always fix or salvage property, but don't take risks with your life, and just prepare for the worst, hope for the best, and be safe. So I want to show a few of NHC's graphics. I think they're very illustrative. You can see this is one of the big concerns: 15 to 20 foot storm surge possible. This area of the Florida Big Bend is very susceptible to surge because of the shape, the cone, or the concavity of the coastline. You funnel storm surge here and kind of traps it. And also the shelf is very shallow, so water can just pile up. So we're going to have a large area that sees a lot of water pushed ashore with this storm. But we're also going to see a lot of rainfall, and this is going to extend inland as the storm moves up into Georgia. So it'll be moving pretty fast, but you're still going to see a lot of flooding in spots. And the other thing I wanted to show is one of our wind gust products. This is from our half-speed model, and this is something the project I've been working on. Something's going on weirdly here with the state border in my plotting code, but basically you can see that even after it moves inland, you get this area of 80 to 100 mile an hour wind gusts. Basically inland, almost to the Georgia border, so over the sort of the Lake City, Valdosta area, and this could shift a little bit east or west depending on exactly where the center goes. So this is going to be an inland wind event as well. We've seen this with other cases like Hurricane Michael. It doesn't look like this will be that strong, hopefully, but you can still have some pretty notable impacts inland. So don't just think this is a coastal event. And like I said, mobile home, if you're in a flood zone, if you're in an older home, not sure of how sturdy it is, if you have a lot of trees and you're worried at all, just get to a safer place, go to a friend, a relative, a shelter, and follow local orders, and just be safe. And we're gonna ride this out and hopefully blow through quickly, and really hoping for the best, and just stay safe, everybody.